Number 10. The narcotics. Many fans were surprised to learn about Jada's struggles with narcotics and sobriety that could have possibly ended her career back in the 90s. She admitted on an episode of Red Table Talk that at one point in her life she was drinking it like it was Kool-Aid, saying, "I could drink almost anybody under the table." She went on to discuss how her heavy drinking really began as a teen. She explained how it only got worse with her move to Hollywood. She told her audience how she was doing a cocktail of illegal narcotics, saying, "I wasn't doing things that I thought were addictive." She even went on to reveal, "Drinking red wine for me was like drinking glasses of water, because I'm used to that hard hit. Let me tell you, I was having a little ball." Considering herself as a big weekend party girl, she has since admitted that her substance use was most likely the result of her mental health issues. She recalls this time in her life by saying, "In my depression, using narcotics, drinking a whole lot, and smoking a bunch, just trying to find some peace of mind." But it wasn't until an incident on the set of The Nutty Professor that she realized she had to turn it all around. She explained, "I went to work on narcotics and it was just a bad bunch, and I told everyone that I must have had old medications, and that was the last time." Though not so embarrassing, some worried that she has perhaps been making light of addiction when she referred to it as having a ball. Luckily, it has been reported that she's fully recovered, but fans still worry for future relapses. Number 9. Scientology. Both Jada and Will have tried to insist they aren't involved in Scientology, but there have definitely been a few connections that have made us question that. Leah Remini, who is famously an ex-Scientologist, has claimed that the family has ties to the religion. Leah told the Daily Beat in 2017, "I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology a long time." Going on to say, "I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center." Scientology has long had a problem with controversy. Leah has claimed in the past that the whole thing is just a money grab from the founder, L. Ron Hubbard. She shared, "When you reach the top, you will be told that God is a lie, and there are more levels ahead that will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. There is no end to Scientology." A few Hollywood actors advocate for the religion, whereas others deem the whole thing as being very destructive. Some people even called it a dangerous cult, and it definitely has been an issue for debate regarding the celebrities that do have connections to the church. Leah even revealed that the Smiths reportedly even founded a school based around the religion, but it has since been shut down. The school was called the New Village Leadership Academy, and it opened in 2008 before shutting down just 5 years later. One of the school's staff confirms that they were using Hubbard's books in their teaching. Supposedly, they also had posters of him around the school. The teacher claimed, "I mean, it was totally Scientology. There was no question." Because of all these speculations, Leah was invited to Jada's show, Red Table Talk, back in 2018. Jada then said, "My grandmother was like, you're going to learn all the religions, and then you have to decide which one you want to practice." She went on to say, "I always took the position that I'm here at Scientology Center to learn what I want to learn, but I have no interest in being a Scientologist." Because of this, it left some viewers believing that she was just caught in a lie. Number 8. Parenting style. Jada and Will have 2 kids, Jaden and Willow, who are no strangers to the spotlight. But with this, it causes some fans to do a double take at their parenting style. Their parenting has received some backlash throughout the years, but it was really the 2014 photo that pushed critics overboard. Photos were posted online with Willow, who was 13 at the time, with 20-year-old Moses Eris, laying in bed. When TMZ asked her why she would allow this, she responded by saying, "There's nothing sexual about the photo or that situation." When parenting came up again during an interview with Us Weekly, she said, "I'm not a conventional parent, which I take a lot of pride in." Number 7. The cheating scandal. During her decades-long marriage with Will, it seems that someone else caught her eye as well, the singer August Alsina. The scandal that she initially denied before, she finally came clean with during a very cringy moment. During the 2020 interview, August claims that he and Jada had been romantically involved in the past, even going on to say that Will gave them his blessing, which has never been proven. He said during the interview, "I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life, and I truly and really deeply love and have a ton of love for her, and gave my whole self to it." He revealed that before her, he had never truly been in love before. When this hit the news, Jada initially denied it, but then later admitted that yes, it did happen, but only during a separation from Will, saying on Red Table Talk, "We were over. From there, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement with August." Going on to say, "I just wanted to feel good. It had been so long since I felt good." Though many times things like this would completely break a marriage, Will and Jada have said that it only has strengthened it. An insider told the press, "Will and Jada at the end of the day are like a normal couple who just happen to be glorified because they're famous. They have fought, but at the end of the day, they do love each other." Regardless, with Jada being so open about this, I can't imagine it could have been fun for her kids. Number 6. The Snoop Dogg moment. An interview that many have been describing as frustrating is the Red Table Talk with Jada and Snoop Dogg. Previously, Snoop slammed the CBS This Morning presenter Gayle King when she referred to Kobe Bryant's essay charge in the wake of his death. Snoop took to his Instagram and said, "Gayle King, you were out of pocket for that. What do you gain from that?" Going on to say, "We expect more from you, Gayle. Don't you hang out with Oprah? Why are you attacking us? We're your people. How dare you tarnish my homeboy's reputation? Respect the family and back off." After this, he made an appearance on Red Table Talk where Jada told him his remarks were triggering to her as a black woman because he was insulting other black women. She said at the time, "It felt like not only were you talking to Gayle, but you were talking to me." However, because of this interview, Snoop's fans started to come for Jada. They claimed that she was reaching and faking outrage just for her show. One Twitter user wrote, "Jada Smith, stop it. Don't make this a woman's thing, because it's not. It's a Gayle King thing. Asking a wrong question at a wrong time. It's about timing." Another added, "Jada, do we have to cancel you too?" Number 5. Will's slap. An awkward moment all around is Will Smith slapping Chris Rock over a joke made over Jada's shaved head. But when a few people assumed Jada would stand by her husband regardless of this incident, she did go the other way. A source close to the star said, "It was in the heat of the moment and it was him overreacting. He knows that, she knows that, and they agreed that he overreacted." She confirmed she wasn't angry, but she wishes he didn't do it, which of course is understandable, but some fans are questioning this. An Instagram user uploaded a different angle of the slap, which appears to show that Jada is actually laughing after the slap. One viewer commented, "She laughs after he was slapped? Are you serious?" Another added, "Definitely didn't see the laughing side of her during this." So could it be that maybe Jada likes the drama a little bit more than she's letting on? Number 4. Embarrassing Will. Fans of the Smith family have been noticing something interesting about Jada, and it's that many think she is continuously trying to embarrass her husband. The moment that was pretty cringy on Jada's part is when, during an Instagram live, she begins talking about her and Will's marriage counselor, before suddenly turning the camera towards him to get his opinion. She asked him, "Would you say that she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?" He answers back, "I would say just don't start filming without asking me if you could." Jada then continues to record him to get an answer until Will turns away and continuously asks her to stop. Definitely an awkward moment. She also really threw her husband under the bus during an episode of Red Table Talk when she starts discussing intimacy with Gwyneth Paltrow. Jada brings up her and Will's love life and shares some pretty personal details. She even talked about how she used to expect him to read her mind. One of the worst Jada attacks on Will, though, would have to be the strange reaction to Will's surprise party for her, which took him 3 years to plan. When Jada turned 37, Will hired a team to begin planning her massive 40th birthday party. When talking about the party, he said, "It was going to be the thing that lifted her out of this midlife crisis. It was going to be my deepest, most beautiful proclamation of love." But her reaction was just not what he had hoped. When recalling what Jada thought of the party, he said, "She told me that the party was the biggest, most ridiculous display of my ego." Yikes. One fan commented on this and wrote, "Treat her like a celebrity and she'll treat you like a fan." Another added, "Imagine being married to someone that spent literally years planning a special event for you, and instead of gratitude, you say it's to feed their ego." Number 3. Marriage. Jada met Will during her audition for the role of his character's girlfriend on the show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Though she didn't end up getting the part, it's reported that she made quite the impression on the star, who was married to another woman at the time. Will revealed later that not long after meeting Jada, he went out for dinner with his wife and realized he had married the wrong woman. After 2 years of dating, Jada found out that she was pregnant with their first child, Jaden, and pretty quickly after, Will proposed with a $250,000 engagement ring. But it appears that Jada wasn't super excited about her upcoming marriage. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jada shared that she never really wanted to get married, but her mom was putting on the pressure since she was young and pregnant. Jada's mom, Adrienne, revealed her worry that since she was an only child, she may never get the opportunity to see her get married. In the end, of course, she decided to go through with the wedding, but made it clear to Will that she did not want a typical ceremony. Will later admitted in his memoir that regardless of this, he did pressure her into having a traditional ceremony. When recalling her wedding day, Jada shares, "I was so upset that I had to have a wedding. I cried the whole way down the aisle." Though getting cold feet is pretty typical when making such a big commitment, a wedding therapist believes that there could be a little bit more to it. The therapist, Landis, told Insider that bad nerves can indicate that the person isn't ready for marriage, or that they could be marrying the wrong person. The question on fans' mind is, why marry someone after talking so openly about how upset you were about the whole thing? Number 2. Dating while married. Will and Jada have been married for decades, but was the start of their relationship a little more shady than they usually let on. When the two started dating, Will was actually still with his ex-wife at the time. When Jada's mothers discussed this, she revealed, "I think initially when Will first called you, he was married or he was just separated, and I was like, he's not available to you." The orst hadn't happened yet. Later she explained that she didn't understand divorce, and talking to Will's ex-wife on the show, she says that when looking back, she probably should have backed off. At the time, she told his ex that she takes responsibility and said, "When I think back to where I was, some of my inconsideration just in regards to your unwinding marriage and me trying to get in there." Going on to say it apparently feels wrong now. Definitely a bit shady on both Will and Jada's part for this one. And at number 1, we have her celebrity feuds. Jada has been known to have various feuds with her fellow celebrities over the years, leaving a few of her peers to believe if she can actually be just overly petty. One feud in particular occurred with Gabrielle Union. When Jada spoke with Gabrielle, she said during Red Table Talk, "Gabrielle and I were never really girlfriends. We were great associates." Going on to say that dissolved, and for 17 years we haven't really spoken. A controversial moment for Jada happened when she decided to end the feud on her show, making many viewers believe that she is more about the views than friendship. Gabrielle later admitted that she didn't know why Jada was ever mad at her in the first place. Could this just be a case of stirring up drama for good content?
Top 10 embarrassing Hailey Bieber moments that made us cringe. Number 10, walking into a wall. In August of 2016, a paparazzi video was taken of Hailey walking with Madison Beer. They had just had lunch together at a cafe in West Hollywood, and they were off to Kendall Jenner's house. In the video, you can clearly see a really big difference in the way that the two women interact with the paparazzi. Madison is seen smiling and talking with them, while Hailey is a lot more tense and tries to cover her face the whole time. This eventually leads her to walk off the path and straight into a wall. This moment was really difficult to watch. Ironically, the whole thing brought a lot more attention to her because she was trying to cover her face, while Madison simply got into the car and was waiting for her. Hailey was then left behind and tried to work out which way to turn. The comments on the video were absolutely hilarious. People wrote things like, "Girl, you're not that important, keep walking," and "I just know she was embarrassed." Another user wrote, "She always thinks the paparazzi are after her. She's acting like a big celebrity." But if anything, most people thought it was just funny and relatable. After all, it kinda reminds you of something that you would do if you were in that situation. Number 9, posting on Justin's account. Fans have suspected that Hailey is the one that runs Justin's Instagram account for quite some time, and a recent post might actually confirm that. A few days ago, he shared photos of the two of them from what looks like a romantic beach getaway. In the caption, he wrote, "Love you, baby." And while a lot of the comments seemed happy that he was finally posting about his wife, most of them were predictably negative. People were really picking everything apart, and that is a major understatement. Someone pointed to the fact that he used the word love spelled L-U-V and not the normal way, which might be a sign that it was Hailey who actually posted that. The theory is that only women would spell the word love like that, and it seems to be the most popular theory because people started writing things like, "Hailey, please give Justin his phone back." Other people insisted that he was forced to make the post and wrote, "Blink if you need help." Now this might sound a little crazy, but if you just take a look at Justin's Instagram, a lot of the captions do seem like they might have been written by someone else, especially the ones that are appreciating Hailey. But even if she is writing the captions, it's probably something that he approved beforehand. Number 8, farting in the car. In November of 2019, newlyweds Justin and Hailey were out for a drive in LA. She was in the driver's seat while he was filming her from the passenger seat. In the hilarious video, he suddenly decides to embarrass the hell out of her. He says, "Babe, did you fart? You farted, didn't you? You let out a big gassy one." Even though Justin was clearly joking, it was enough for Hailey to turn bright red. She immediately just covered her face and begged him to stop. She was having none of it and told him that he's not funny. Even though it's a natural bodily function, being accused of farting is somehow always humiliating. But it must have been 10 times worse because Justin actually shared this moment with his 281 million Instagram followers. Some of the fans really felt bad for her at this time because it was shared with just so many people. Luckily, the joke didn't stop their fun because later that same day, they were spotted out and about at a lunch date looking casual. At this point, they were almost 1 full year into their marriage, so they obviously felt very comfortable joking with each other and just being silly. Number 7, extremely rude in person. In June last year, Hailey was called out by an influencer who just happened to be a guest at her road launch party to promote the brand. Beauty vlogger Iris Balin posted an Instagram video talking about the horrible experience. She said that the moment Hailey arrived with Kylie and Kendall Jenner, they went straight to the VIP section section. Apparently, a lot of the guests wanted to talk to her because they were just excited to hear about the launch of her new products, but Hailey refused to talk to them or even come near them. Iris said, "This girl didn't say anything and it was the most awkward thing because there were people hovering to take pictures with her, to talk to her. This is your event. Show up for your event or have your rep people say something." But yeah, no, Hailey didn't say anything or want to talk about anything. In the end, it was Kylie Jenner that eventually said a few words about the skincare line, despite the fact that she didn't really have anything to do with it. Now honestly, there could have been many different reasons why she didn't want to talk to anyone, so it doesn't necessarily mean she was trying to be antisocial here. Number 6, the Nepo Baby shirt. This new label refers to someone who receives special privileges because of their famous parents or relatives. Clearly, Hailey does fall into this category, as many people believe she's only reached the fame and success that she has now because she's married to Justin Bieber. But the part that really upsets people is that she seemingly refuses to acknowledge that she is actually a Nepo baby. In fact, she hit back at these accusations by wearing a Nepo Baby t-shirt, which obviously just enraged people more. Louis Pisano, a writer for Harper's Bazaar, then tweeted out the photo with the caption, "The Hailey Bieber Nepo Baby t-shirt picture gives nothing because she gives nothing. She's not personable enough to give this staged paparazzi shot for a viral moment any personality. She doesn't act or sing. She gets in and out of cars in beige and black YSL and has a skincare line." That tweet went viral and it seemed like everyone agreed. Even Charlie XCX joined in on the discourse and wrote, "I respect the Nepo Baby t-shirt attempt." To be fair, Hailey is far from the only celebrity that has been called out for being the product of nepotism, but it's really her response to this label that said it all. If she just acknowledged that there was some truth to it, things might have turned out a little differently. Number 5, call out on TikTok. A former waitress by the name of Julia Carolan was working at a fancy restaurant in Manhattan, and this is when she had a not so nice run-in with Hailey Bieber. She posted about her experience on TikTok where she was rating different celebrity interactions. She said, "This is gonna be controversial, but I've met her a handful of times, and each time she was not nice. I really want to like her, but I have to give her a 3.5 out of 10. So when the video went viral, Hailey eventually saw it and quickly took to the comment section to apologize. She wrote, "Just came across this video and wanted to say I'm so sorry if I've ever given you bad vibes or a bad attitude. That's not ever been my intention." Thankfully, she did take the opportunity to respond to Julia, but unfortunately that was far from the only person who's had a bad experience meeting her. If anything, the video just goes to show you that you can really make out someone's character by how they treat those people working in the service industry. Besides, would she have actually responded if the video didn't go viral? We'll never know. Number 4, making Justin uncomfortable. There has been a ton of resurfaced videos of Justin and Hailey's relationship making their way across the internet recently, but this one is pretty shocking. It was a tense moment where she seemed to make him physically uncomfortable with her touch. In the video, the two of them are doing a live stream together. Justin is sitting down casually while Hailey is standing behind him with her arms crossed. At one point, she becomes excited and puts her arms around him, which he really doesn't like. Justin can be heard saying, "Babe, I can't. Don't touch me right now. I just need some space." This was obviously a very tense moment for him and he did not want to be touched, which is completely fair. He also made it clear that he just wanted some space at that time. It might have been a little cringy to watch, but at least he was setting his boundaries. For her part, Hailey seemed to be a little confused at first and then embarrassed, but she quickly realized that he was being serious and she moved her hands away. This is not the first time that something like this has happened, but it might just mean that her love language is physical touch, while his is something else entirely. Number 3, cringe tweets. Recently, there's been evidence posted online that proves Hailey was a hardcore Justin fan for years before they actually got together. Fans have discovered some really old tweets that have since been deleted, where she would talk about his relationship with Selena Gomez and how much she shipped them as a couple. Yeah, someone found a post from 2011 where she wrote, "I don't care what anyone says, but Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez together is the definition of a teenage dream." That tweet might have been embarrassing, but it was nothing compared to the racist ones that were discovered a lot later. She once wrote that she was leaving Florida white, but coming back to New York a different race. That tweet was then taken down no less than 15 minutes after it was originally tweeted. She also wrote, "With Cody Simpson and that awkward moment when you're at a Chinese restaurant and your waiter isn't Chinese." When people came for her online, she defended herself at the time by saying that she isn't white. As we know, her mom, Kenya Baldwin, is Brazilian, but by that logic, she was basically trying to insinuate that she can say whatever she wants, which she later found out is completely untrue. Number 2, chasing after Justin. In September of 2021, there was a shocking video posted on Twitter showing Justin literally running away from paparazzi and leaving Hailey while she falls on the ground and tries to run after him. In the clip, he's walking with his skateboard and he ducks underneath a gate, but once he gets onto the road, he just takes off without saying anything. At first, it kind of looks like he's alone and just doing his own thing. But 1 second later, Hailey literally falls onto the road and looks flustered at the fact that she got left behind. To make things so much worse, this all happened on a busy street, so plenty of people watched it go down. She then sprints after him, obviously trying to catch up, but Justin is already out of sight. The whole thing must have been incredibly humiliating for her, and people were very sympathetic in the comments. One person wrote, "I know this keeps her awake every night, and that's why you shouldn't chase men." Many fans also made it clear that they could relate to her situation. One user wrote, "As much as most of us may not like her, no female deserves to be treated like this by their husband. She deserves better regardless." And coming in at number 1, the eyebrows drama. The infamous feud between Hailey and Selena started again a few weeks ago, when Selena made a post saying that she accidentally laminated her eyebrows too much. In what looked like a response, Kylie Jenner posted a close-up photo of her and Hailey's eyebrows with the caption, "This was an accident." Fans immediately took this as an attempt to mock Selena and called them out for bullying. From that point on, it seemed like Selena really believed this, because for the first time in years, she actually responded to the drama and hit back online. In a resurfaced video of Hailey gagging at the mention of Taylor Swift's name, Selena left a comment under the video saying, "So sorry, my best friend is and continues to be one of the best in the game." She also commented on a series of other TikToks calling out Hailey and Kylie Jenner for their mean girl behavior. In the fallout from the scandal, Hailey lost more than 1 million followers on social media, around 900,000 followers on Instagram, and more than 350,000 on TikTok. Kylie also lost about 1 million followers on Instagram altogether. But the opposite happened to Selena. She ended up gaining 10 million followers on Instagram and went on to reclaim the throne as one of the most followed women on the platform.
With it looking like nearly everyone is at Coachella at the moment, you just have to know there's going to be a few embarrassing moments. Number 10, Sean and Camila. No one wants to get caught hooking up with their ex, but it seems some celebs just can't keep their hands off of each other. A couple that almost everyone wanted to work out was Camila Cabello and Shawn Mendes. And maybe fans' dreams are coming true. The couple broke up just after 2 years together back in 2021. They announced the split on Instagram through a joint statement, which read, "Hey guys, we've decided to end our romantic relationship out of love for one another as humans, are stronger than ever." Continued on by saying, "We started out a relationship as best friends, and we will continue to be best friends." But it looks like maybe there is a little bit more to their relationship as of late. A fan ended up capturing a moment that looked as though the couple had reconciled. In the now viral clip, it shows the couple dancing, holding drinks, and hugging, even appearing to kiss each other, looking like they were together most of the night. An eyewitness told the media they weren't holding hands but stayed together all night. They were at a VIP table trying to stay out of sight. Another insider revealed Sean had his arm around her waist as they walked to the stage. Camila was nuzzling her face into Sean's shoulders, and they looked like a couple. They also kissed and were making out. They have yet to confirm if this was just a hookup or maybe something more, but it looks like we have a reason to be hopeful. Number 9, Linda Lindas. An all-girl rock band definitely had an unlucky start to their big performance. It's never a good sign when you start the show and all their microphones just don't work. Not only that, but one of the guitars just wasn't coming through. Eventually the guitar was switched on, but the microphones continued to be barely audible, leaving Juan with the only working microphone in the group. Luckily, it didn't stop them from having a good time despite the bad circumstances. At the end of the show, they said to their audience, "Thank you for bearing with us. We hope to see you again." Fans weren't so forgiving though, and took to Twitter to share their opinions on the audio issues. One fan wrote, "Whomever is in charge of sound for the Sonona stage at Coachella should be fired. The Linda Lindas had problems with their mics throughout their entire set." Another user wrote, "Everyone in charge of the audio for the Linda Lindas Rager needs to be fired. Total disrespect, dead mics." Number 8, Kendall's dancing. Rumors began circulating in February about the alleged romance between Kendall and Bad Bunny, and it seems it's pretty confirmed during their Coachella weekend. A source told People, Kendall recently started hanging out with him. They were introduced by friends. He moved to LA a few weeks ago and bought a house. She likes him and is having fun. Looks like Kendall is making the romance a little bit more public though, and she was spotted by fans dancing in the crowd during Bad Bunny's headline set. But this isn't the cringy part. When the clip emerged on TikTok, fans immediately began dragging the model for her awkward dancing. One user wrote, "I just witnessed a crime against humanity. Tragic." Another added, "Oh my god, her at concerts is always so awkward." But it's looking like fans of Bad Bunny are going to be seeing much more of the model. Even though they have never publicly addressed these rumors, he seemed to reference Kendall and her ex-boyfriend, the NBA player Devin Booker, who plays for the Phoenix Suns. In his song he says, "The sun in Puerto Rico is hotter than in Phoenix. She knows it." Number 7, Frank Ocean. After 6 years without a public performance, fans were pretty ready ready to see Frank Ocean return to the stage on Sunday night and close out the Coachella weekend. But things just weren't seemingly going his way during this big performance. All 6 stages at Coachella were set to be live streamed for free on YouTube, but at the last minute, Frank Ocean was pulled from the schedule. YouTube tweeted, "Frank Ocean is not scheduled to appear on the Coachella livestream," without really going into why. Not only that, but fears started circulating among fans that the star may have dropped out of the event entirely. With his start time being 10 p.m., he didn't actually start performing until about 11 p.m. But as fans were really getting into it, the whole set was cut short due to curfew laws. After abruptly ending a song, he said to his audience, "Guys, I'm being told it's curfew, so that's the end of the show. Thank you so much." This left fans pretty upset considering he hasn't performed in so long. One fan tweeted, "Started the set late, didn't let them live stream it, now ending the set early. Frank Ocean, you will rue the day." Another added, blaming the star, saying if he started on time, he would have been able to do his whole set. As far as I know, there weren't any technical difficulties that didn't let him start on time. Others are keeping hopeful that the second weekend he'll do his whole set. Number 6, Post Malone and Bad Bunny. During Bad Bunny's headline act, he ended up bringing out Post Malone, but the whole thing turned pretty messy and people had some torn reactions. The two had technical difficulties throughout the whole of their set, and the music was cutting in and out, leaving fans pretty disappointed. Twitter users started speculating that someone was set to get fired over this, with one fan writing, "This guitar audio is not working during Bad Bunny and Posty. The audio person is getting looked at furiously right now. Definitely getting fired." Luckily for fans though, the two seemed to hug it out. The whole performance ended in a really cute moment. Really just looks like the audio team weren't prepared this time at the festival. Number 5, Vanessa Hudgens. Dubbed as the Queen of Coachella, Vanessa Hudgens didn't end up making it this year, and many fans were left believing the outfits were just not the same this weekend without her. Many fans believe she was instrumental in really popularizing the festival years ago, as well as setting an example with her own outfits. For someone that feels so strongly about the festival, fans began speculating where she could possibly be. Looks like the star is actually in the Philippines shooting a travel documentary, but she clearly is missing the event. She took to social media to share a selfie which was captioned with, "The Coachella FOMO is real." This has left some on TikTok believing that since the Coachella icon isn't there, the outfits have really gone downhill since. One TikTok user wrote, "I feel like a lot of these outfits are very basic. None of these compare to 2015 to 2018 Coachella." Another added, "Vanessa was and still is the blueprint for Coachella. She really is the taste maker." What do you guys think of the outfits this year? Number 4, the Becky G scandal. After her fiancé seemingly confessed to cheating, Becky G appeared to address the rumors subtly at her set this year. The two got engaged after 6 years of dating, and it looked to be pretty perfect up until an anonymous woman posted photos and videos online of the star, basically getting caught red-handed. The woman wrote, "Sebastian, your boyfriend, cheated on you in February and I have all the proof. I can send it to you privately. A lot of press is contacting me because I will not remain silent." In response to the rumor, Sebastian shared a statement on Instagram just at the end of March, which said, "As an athlete, I have always tried to hold myself to a higher standard. When I reflect on the past 7 years of my life, I know in my heart that I couldn't have achieved a lot of my personal and professional growth without the love and support of Becky by my side." He continued on by saying, "I deeply regret a 10-minute lapse in judgment that resulted in an extortion plot." Since this whole situation is still pretty fresh, fans were wondering how her set was going to play out. Many in the audience noted immediately that the star wasn't wearing her wedding ring, and also believed that her little speech to the crowd alluded to the drama. She said, "Sometimes things just don't go the way you plan. I'll just say that. But sometimes it's not rejection, it's redirection." And at number 3, we have The Weeknd. The Weeknd hasn't been loving Rolling Stone as of lately after a report claimed that his upcoming HBO series called The Idol has gone wildly off the rails. After seeing this report, The Weeknd took to Instagram and posted a clip from the series. He then tagged Rolling Stone and wrote, "Did we upset you?" In the scene, the characters are discussing a photo shoot with Rolling Stone. Before one goes, "Rolling Stone, aren't they a little irrelevant?" His public hate didn't end there though for the news outlet and continued on to his Coachella set. Because of this feud, he ended up intentionally not saying Rolling Stone while performing his song Heartless. Though many fans supported this decision, others saw it as a little bit dramatic. One Twitter user wrote, "Such a man-child he is," while others kept commenting that he is a petty king. Number 2, J.O.P. Jesus Ortiz Paz was one of the surprise act that joined Becky G on stage during her big Coachella moment. When J.O.P. took the stage though, things got a little awkward between the two, with many fans suspecting that the star was under the influence and and underprepared for the whole event. At one point, Becky G even says to him, "You could have practiced your lyrics, come on." JOP continues the performance by just pretty obviously hitting on Becky the whole time. One fan wrote on TikTok, "I love JOP, but he didn't come prepared. Does he not know anything about what Coachella is? And he's just trying to hit on Becky and she's not having it." Another fan came to the defense of the star and said, "You are all bashing him for not remembering the lyrics. But keep in mind, 99% of the time he does not perform these songs at his concerts." Other fans commented on the fact that he has been known in the past for never remembering his lyrics. But I definitely have to admit, watching the beginning of their duet was a little bit awkward, regardless of them trying to play it off. But what did you guys think? Number 1, Lauren Gray. The popular social media influencer has come forward and shared some pretty interesting facts about the music festival, and social media users aren't happy. In a video with 3.7 million views, she shares what she believes is a hilarious concept among the influencers. She shares, "Coachella is like the influencer Olympics. It's the place to be. But most influencers, or a lot of influencers, don't even go to Coachella," which I think is a little bit of a wild fact. She continued on by claiming that over half of the big influencers dress up, stay in an Airbnb, and just post the photos of their outfits, saying Coachella day 1 or 2. To prove her point, she even noted to her fans that not many influencers are wearing wristbands, saying they don't have wristbands, they just drive their little butts out to the desert to take Instagram photos, make a TikTok, get ready with me, or whatever, and then they drive back. Many social media users seem to agree with this, saying, "Unless they post stories standing in the crowds listening to the musicians, I assume they fake it." Because I remember an influencer going as far as photoshopping themselves in front of the Coachella Tower. Another added saying, "I now need to know who is and isn't there." Others speculated that this could just be part of faking it until you make it, and commented, "When they fake the content, it brings engagement. Brands see the engagement, and maybe next year they'll get a real sponsored trip." Looks like this sparked influencers to prove themselves to fans more and more, and have been posting more in-crowd content.
The pressure of a Super Bowl halftime show is immense. Millions of eyes all watching to point out every little mess up, with the footage living forever on the internet for anyone to see. So of course, people mess up. But some people mess up more than others. Number 10, Coldplay. Now, for the record, I actually really like Coldplay. Maybe their new stuff not as much, but I think they're a pretty good band. Does that mean I think they should lead a Super Bowl halftime show? Not really, no. In 2016, Coldplay was billed as the Super Bowl halftime show performer. And honestly, good for them, I guess. But then, for some reason that no one can really seem to fathom, they performed alongside Bruno Mars and Beyonce. It's a very strange grouping. Personally, I love all 3 artists, but together, it feels odd. And guess what? It was! Watching Chris Martin beside Beyonce and Bruno looked like he was a third wheel on a really odd date, or like someone who just ran up on the stage. It was cringy, and they were all singing a Coldplay song. It should not have been this weird. Number 9, Malfunction. In 2004, Janet Jackson took to the Super Bowl stage with hits like Rhythm Nation. About halfway through the show, Justin Timberlake joined her to perform Rock Your Body and dance hella provocatively. They had a big, bold finish before Timberlake, out of literally nowhere, rips one of Jackson's bra cups off, showing off the singer's bare chest. It comes completely out of left field, and the look on both performers' face for the few seconds before the pyrotechnics go off and the lights go black is one of just confusion and shock. Supposedly, it was meant to be that Timberlake tore the rubber bustier off to reveal a red lace bra, which makes me wonder why that was the plan at all, but hey. After 540,000 complaints rolled in, apologies from Timberlake poured out, interviews with Oprah from Jackson happened pretty soon after, and worldwide news coverage talked of a falling out between the 2 performers. Number 8. Fergie. In 2011, Fergie and the Black Eyed Peas were leading the Super Bowl halftime show, which makes sense for that time in history. What didn't really make any sense was when the group brought out special guest Slash. Yes, Slash from Guns N' Roses. Going from their signature dance music to straight up classic rock was an interesting change of pace. Fergie belted out Sweet Child of Mine alongside the guitarist, giving it her best shot, but at best, the whole thing ended up sounding like a bad karaoke. Fans of the band almost universally revolted for blasphemy against their sacred anthem. It was not a good time. Now, some of you may recall how Fergie took to the NBA floor to sing the national anthem, and while it was good for the first bit, it just kinda went off the rails towards the end, and she hasn't really recovered from these 2 performances ever since. Number 7, MIA. So look, it's extremely safe to say that the viewers of the Super Bowl are composed primarily of conservative America and families. That kind of plays into every Super Bowl halftime show. You don't want to be problematic as an artist. But I guess no one told MIA. The singer, known for her songs like Paper Planes and Bad Girls, both of which are fantastic songs, appeared alongside Nicki Minaj and Madonna, who was the headliner for the show. Despite Madonna's really awkward dancing, a problem arose when MIA decided she was gonna flip the old bird right at the whole of America and everyone else who was watching. If you're a fan of the artist, you are probably not surprised one bit, but conservative America was not only surprised, but completely flabbergasted, and this one little move did not go well. Number 6. Unplugged. Almost no one plays live at the Super Bowl. Being such an absolutely massive performance, you just don't want to mess it up. But on top of that, the time delays and feedback would make it an absolute mess. That's why so much focus is put into the performance. It's put into the sheer illusion of a live show, and usually that is achieved. In 2014, Bruno Mars absolutely killed it on the halftime show stage, and I mean, he usually kills it in any performance, but then this guy pulled out the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was awesome. They did a rendition of Give It Away Now, and it was hype as hell. But then, if you actually pay close attention, not a single member of the band was actually plugged in. Sure, no one with any sense plays live at the show, but it would have been nice to make it at least believable with such an awesome performance. Number 5. Power slide. Okay, this one was short and sweet. I honestly think it's more hilarious and kind of endearing than embarrassing, but it has an element of that as well. In 2009, Bruce Springsteen got the chance to take the halftime show stage, and boy did he make the most of it. In an absolutely hilarious moment, Brucey Boy performed an amazing power slide across the stage straight at a cameraman who was hanging out on the side of it. I guess he misjudged the power of his legs, and his powerful slide slid right across that stage, landing crotch first into the camera and onto the TV screens of viewers all around the world. His smiling face making sure that the cameraman was okay as he got to his feet is just pure joy, and it's honestly hilarious. I want that kind of energy all the time. Number 4. Jump. Okay, I got another short but sweet moment. In 2017, it was Lady Gaga's turn to run the halftime show, and she did an excellent job. But I have to say, her pre-recorded entrance to the show was just absolutely hilarious. She made her way to the Houston Stadium stage by seemingly jumping off of the roof. She obviously didn't actually do that, but the jump was the absolute most hilarious jump I have ever seen. It was just so awkward, and I've never seen someone jump like that in my entire life. She like spread eagle and just tossed herself. I was literally watching a GIF of this moment on repeat for like 5 minutes straight as I wrote at this point. So good. I highly suggest that you do the same thing. Number 3. Disney. In 1991, Disney produced the Super Bowl halftime show, and it was essentially just a big old handful of cringe and nightmare fuel. Why an army of children dressed up like footballers and cheerleaders doing a song and dance is this awkward, I'll never know. But you couple that with Minnie Mouse, Goofy, and Roger Rabbit mascots, and it's just not a good time. It was genuinely terrifying to behold. So much so that ABC didn't even air it live. They actually preferred coverage of the Persian Gulf War over the awkward, embarrassing, and utterly terrifying performance. Number 2. Left Shark doo 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 doo. In the 2015 halftime show, Katy Perry took to the stage, and her whole thing was just a fever dream of an extremely colorful vacation. It literally looked like someone took a tropical beach, and then a unicorn came along and vomited a rainbow onto it. It was wild, but definitely fun. What made it so much more fun was the 2 backup dancing sharks that Katy had behind her while singing Teenage Dream. Specifically, the world focused on the left shark, who seemed to just be having a rough time. He could not match the pace of the song at all. The right shark was doing great, but his fishy friend just stole the show to the point that people accused the right shark of being boring. In opposition, the left side of Katy Perry was plagued by a rogue shark that seemed to just be making up its own dance moves. A dancing shark is scary. A shark that doesn't know what the hell is going on is so much more fun, and it's all anyone could talk about for days after the fact. And in at number 1 is Prince. Why does Justin Timberlake have the absolute worst luck when it comes to the halftime show? Arguably, it seems to be his own fault. In 2018, Timberlake decided that he would use a video projection hologram of Prince as an homage to the late artist, a part of his show despite the fact that the guy had literally promised that he would not do that. Timberlake sang "I Would Die For You" along with the video that also used a part of Prince's music video for Purple Rain. Fans of Prince specifically were outraged as they said this disrespected the artist. In a 1998 Guitar World interview, Prince specifically spoke about his dislike of using technology that brought back musical legends for collaborations, as it was basically stealing that artist's likeness and music for another artist's selfish use. If you're gonna honor a guy, the best way you could do it is not by doing one of the main things he specifically does not like. Bad move.
For some reason, award ceremonies always seem to bring out the awkwardness in so many celebrities, and the Grammys are no exception. Despite the fact that it's a prestigious affair, there's never a lack of uncomfortable moments. You can probably blame that on the cameras, which somehow capture every single person's reaction. From Ben Affleck fighting with J-Lo to Chris Brown's online tantrum. Number 10, Madonna's jokes bombing. The singer awkwardly had to ask the audience to cheer for her during her speech at the Grammys, where she addressed the remarks that the media have made about her recent antics. The 64-year-old started off by saying, "Here's what I learned after 4 decades in music. If they call you shocking, scandalous, troublesome, problematic, provocative, or dangerous, you're definitely onto something." Now that line seemed like she was leading into something, but when no one reacted at all, she quickly added, "That's where you make noise," which prompted an applause. No one was really sure if that was supposed to be funny or deep and inspiring, but the fact that Madonna had to scold the audience was hilarious in itself. But what really stood out more than her words was actually her appearance, and it sparked a sea of reactions on Twitter. Some people genuinely couldn't even recognize Madonna as she stood in front of them with noticeably bigger lips, braids, a tight black suit, and fishnet gloves. Someone tweeted a video of Adele with the caption, "Me attempting to ignore the fact that Madonna has a whole new face." Another user wrote, "What the hell happened to Madonna's face?" and "Madonna scares me." Number 9, Chris Brown raging. When the singer lost out to Robert Glasper for Best R&B Album, he also lost his temper. In fact, he completely lost it. Chris took to his Instagram stories where he voiced his frustration at losing. He posted a picture of Robert Glasper and wrote, "Y'all playing, who the F is this?" along with crying laughing emojis. But he did not stop there, he continued to diss the artist. In another post he wrote, "Who the F is Robert Glasper? I'ma keep kicking y'all A respectfully." If that wasn't enough, Chris then made fun of the fact that the winner was a classical musician, a pianist. He wrote, "I gotta get my skills up, I'ma start playing the harmonica." He then posted a Photoshop picture of himself playing the harmonica with the caption, "New level unlocked, harmonica breezy." But ironically, Chris hasn't been very successful when it comes to the Grammys at all. Despite 20 nominations throughout his career, he's only ever won 1 time. Robert Glasper, on the other hand, has been nominated 11 times in 8 different categories, and he's won 5 Grammys. He's also written and produced for artists like Snoop Dogg, Mac Miller, Common, and many more. So clearly, Chris Brown was just bitter because he lost to someone with a whole lot of talent. Number 8, Ben Affleck and J-Lo fighting. Now this is awkward. Someone posted a video of Ben and J-Lo sitting together and wrote, "However bad of a day you're having, I promise you're not as miserable as Ben Affleck at the Grammys right now." It's true that whatever he was feeling at that ceremony, he simply looked miserable and looked like he would rather be anywhere else. Next to him, J-Lo was clapping happily and looked a lot more focused on what was going on stage than how her partner was feeling. As expected, the comments under that video were pretty brutal. Someone wrote, "He could be home baking with Jennifer Garner," and instead he's looking around for the emergency exits for a quick getaway. In another awkward video from the event, the newlyweds were captured having an intense argument, but they seemed like they were trying to play it off for the cameras. In the clip, Ben can be seen leaning over to whisper something in Jennifer's ear, only for her to whip her head around and sternly say something to him. She then puts her hand to his chest and looks like she tells him to sit up straight, because he then immediately adjusts his posture. J-Lo rolls her eyes and looks down at the floor before noticing that they are on camera. She then turns her attention to Trevor Noah and tries to laugh it off. Number 7, Doja's awkward reaction. Another hilarious moment from the awards ceremony was Doja's reaction after Sam Smith and Kim Petras won the Grammy for their song Unholy, and it's been cracking up Twitter users because of her expression. A clip was captured of the singer just staring blankly at the two of them while sipping her drink. Not only was she not clapping for them, but Doja's stare spoke 1,000 words, although fans have since speculated that it was more to do with Kim Petras than Sam Smith. So if you think that Doja was just being petty for not winning, think again, because it seems like there's much more to the story here. As we all know, Kim Petras continued to work with Dr. Luke, a producer whose disturbing allegations are well known throughout the industry. Doja also worked with Luke, and many people believe that she was mistreated by him. When she tried to speak out about it, Kim Petras basically tried to shut down those allegations. In 2021, Doja said, "I don't think I need to work with him again. I know that, and I think it was definitely nice of me to work with him." Number 6, Miles Frost shading Harry Styles. The Broadway actor from MJ the Musical was presenting at the Grammys, and pretty soon a hilarious clip of him went viral that makes it pretty obvious that he doesn't really care for Harry Styles. When Miles read out the name Beyonce, he yelled it in excitement, and he did the same when he saw Lizzo's name. But when he opens the card and it says Harry Styles, his reaction is noticeably different. His energy completely changes, and he speaks Harry's name as more of a formality. The clip has already gone viral on social media, and most people are agreeing with him. Someone wrote, "He's so real for this," and you could tell he didn't want him to win that Grammy. But Harry also caught a bit of heat for his acceptance speech, where he said, "This doesn't happen to people like me very often. This is so nice." And that really seemed to rub people the wrong way. The speech sparked a big reaction online and a series of viral tweets. One user wrote, "This doesn't happen to people like me very often. You are literally a white man." And 5 women in the Album of the Year category, 3 of them women of color, and the white cis male winner gets up and says, "This doesn't happen to people like me very often." Number 5, Randy Rainbow saying Valhalla. Award shows haven't always gone smoothly when it comes to announcing the winners of a particular category, and this year's Grammys is no different. While Trevor Noah hosted the main ceremony, the premiere event was hosted by Randy Rainbow, an American comedian who is best known for his parody music videos on YouTube. And when it comes to announcing the winner in the Best Score soundtrack for video games and other interactive media, he got himself into a bit of a difficulty. Randy had to pronounce the new release from the Assassin's Creed franchise, but he really tripped up on the word Valhalla. Stumbling over his words, he said, "And the Grammy goes to Assassin's Creed Valhalla." And just like that, a new meme from the ceremony was born, and it seemed like everyone was joking about Randy's take on the name. Someone posted a meme of Jesse Nelson struggling to put on an accent with the caption Assassin's Creed. Another person wrote, "Dude almost said falafel." In fact, many people were comparing that moment to when John Travolta butchered Idina Menzel's name at the Oscars. He said, "Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem." It was extremely funny to say the least. Number 4, Trevor Noah's jokes. For a 3rd consecutive year as the Grammys host, the comedian once again brought with him a fair share of cringy dad jokes. He launched into his monologue and basically played it safe with the people that he called out. He called out Bad Bunny's performance and said, "That album is so fire, it makes Trump want to learn Spanish." Now that's just an example of the kind of jokes that he brought to the stage. In another one, he said, "Beyonce is nominated for her album Renaissance, which by the way is better than anything from the actual Renaissance in my opinion. The Renaissance was just pictures of grapes and stuff. Beyonce took it up to another level." There was also another joke that left viewers questioning where the punchline was. Noah went up to Taylor Swift and asked her if she can bring down the cost of eggs. It was a pretty confusing moment, and no one was really sure how to react. One person tweeted, "I know this is a lighthearted joke, but it felt like Trevor Noah was making a lot of jokes that sounded like they came straight from a local Facebook page last night. Why are you, as an extremely famous man, joking about the price of eggs?" Number 3, Bad Bunny captions. The international hip-hop star opened the 2023 Grammys ceremony with a performance of songs from his latest album, but some viewers at home were hung up on the telecast. Instead of the traditional closed captions, the captions that CBS provided for Bad Bunny read "singing in non-English" as he performed in Spanish, which was absolutely ridiculous. Later, when Bad Bunny took to the stage to give an acceptance speech that was partially in English and partially in Spanish, the captions read "speaking non-English." Other English-speaking artists highlighted at the Grammys were given standard closed captions on the telecast, so viewers were outraged about the unprofessionalism from the awards. One person wrote, "As a Puerto Rican, Latina, and Spanish speaker, putting singing in non-English while Bad Bunny, one of the most popular artists in the world, sings in Spanish in a country with millions of Spanish speakers is ignorant and insulting. Do better, CBS." But many fans also love Bad Bunny's performance and were just so happy with his part of the ceremony. Another user wrote, "Even though Bad Bunny didn't win, his nomination was the first all non-English album to be nominated for Album of the Year in Grammy history. His nomination opened up so many doors for artists who make music in another language. You'll get it next time, father." Number 2, Beyonce stuck in traffic. When Trevor Noah delivered his cheesy opening remarks and joked about all the stars in the room, Beyonce was nowhere to be found. The singer actually missed her first win of the night at the 2023 Grammys because she was stuck in a traffic jam outside the arena. After she won the award for Best R&B Song, Tyrius Nash and Nile Rodgers rushed up to the stage to accept the award on her behalf. That was her 3rd of 4 awards on the night, and she still wasn't in her seat. At one point, Noah blamed blamed Los Angeles traffic as the reason that she wasn't there. He said, "So for real, Beyonce is on her way. The upside of hosting the Grammys in LA is that everyone can be here. The downside of hosting the Grammys in LA is the traffic." When he eventually did find Beyonce at her table, he brought the trophy right to her and she thanked him and nodded politely. By the time she did step up to the microphone for a proper acceptance speech, she had actually already posted to Instagram about her Grammy wins before she even showed up to the event. Prior to the main show, the singer took home trophies for Best Dance/Electronic Recording and Best Traditional R&B Performance. She was actually nominated for 9 awards in total. And coming in at number 1, Harry Styles' Tripping. The singer took to the Grammy stage to perform his hit song As It Was, but he almost fell on his face. Harry dressed up in a sparkly silver jumpsuit and he was passionately belting out the words, "In this world, it's just us," as he tried to step down from the platform onto the main stage. But as he strode confidently across the platform, there was a brief moment where he lost his balance and almost fell, so he had to throw his arm up to catch himself. Luckily, he did get his balance back and went straight to the microphone to finish the song. But this moment was obviously watched by hundreds of thousands of people at home, not to mention all the celebrities in the audience. Not only that, but many viewers noted that Harry's energy seemed to be unusually low throughout his performance. He seemed to be either very sluggish or unenthusiastic, and a lot of fans took notice. But it could have also been down to technical issues backstage. In fact, several singers seemed to be having issue with their in-ear monitors, and Harry had to visibly adjust his a few times. Someone tweeted, "The Grammys tech is giving middle school play and community theater sound engineer." So there you have it.
Award ceremonies are meant to celebrate the best of the best things created by our favorite artists. But sometimes the winner isn't who you might expect. And coming in at number 10 is Bradley Cooper. In 2019, when Bradley Cooper's directorial debut, A Star Is Born, starring himself and Lady Gaga, came out, it was the talk of the town. The movie was nominated for 8 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Original Song, Actress in a Leading Role, Adapted Screenplay, Sound Mixing, Cinematography, Actor in a Supporting Role, and Actor in a Leading Role for Bradley Cooper himself. But what surprised a lot of people, and embarrassed the star himself, was the seeming lack of a Best Director nomination. Now obviously having 8 Academy nominations for your film is nothing to scoff at by any means, but Bradley did mention this when asked by Oprah Winfrey during the taping of her special Super Soul Conversation. Cooper said, quote, "And the first thing I felt was embarrassment actually. Think about it, I felt embarrassed that I didn't do my part." But again, to reiterate and explain, he continued on saying, quote, "Even if I got the nomination, it should not give me any sense of whether I did my job or not. That's the trick, to make something that you believe in." So, while he did feel embarrassment, it was never his intention to win awards for the film in the first place, as he went on to explain. The shocking part was that he did receive the nomination from the British Academy, the Golden Globes, the Critics' Choice Awards, and the Directors Guild of America, so you can't really complain. In at number 9 is Brandon Block. Okay, this doesn't really count as a snub, technically. But kind of. If you ever watched this clip from the 2000 Brit Award for the Best Soundtrack, just be prepared to have absolutely no idea what is going on. It's pure chaos. I don't even know where to start with this one. I think the award ceremony itself, the Brit Award, is a little proud of thriving off of chaos, honestly. Well, at least at that time it was. The Spice Girls won an Outstanding Contribution to Music Award at this ceremony. First of all, we had Ronnie Wood, the guitarist from the Rolling Stones, being his usual self, inebriated, but he was going off about how everyone's too young to remember who the Stones were, and he was being really weird with this barely adult actress Thora Birch. Then, the video montage of the nominees begins to play. Now during or before this montage, British DJ Brandon Block was told by his friends that he had actually won Musician of the Year. But not only was that not true, he hadn't even been nominated at all. So, when the montage ended, and there he was standing on the stage before a winner had even been announced. Everyone was surprised, which prompted just a whole whack of more chaos, with verbal altercations between Ronnie Wood and the security trying their best to drag the DJ off of the stage. I think he may not have been even sober enough to actually be embarrassed, but I'm sure later on the embarrassment hit quite hard. Number 8. Kesha. For the 2018's Grammy Awards, Kesha was nominated for the Best Pop Solo Performance for her song Praying, which can move you to tears, honestly. It was all about coming out alive after going through some seriously messed up experiences with producer Dr. Luke, which was a huge story at the time and had dozens of other artists and fans coming to her support. The song also showed off the artist's natural singing voice, which before this had always been covered and altered with auto-tune thanks to the horrible practices of the ones in charge of producing her music. To have such deep meaning and significance behind a song, it was sure to come out on top, but unfortunately, Ed Sheeran had released Shape of You the same year, which had none of the same emotional backing, but was a really fun, popular, and even somewhat sexy song. So, when the time came for the winner to be announced, Ed Sheeran walked away with the win. While his song was nothing to scoff at, not at all, it still left a rather uncomfortable taste in the mouth for people who knew the story behind Kesha's Praying. In at number 7 is John Hughes. The writer and director of hit teen movies like The Breakfast Club in 1985, Pretty in Pink and Ferris Bueller's Day Off in 1986, plus the screenwriter for comedies like National Lampoon's Vacation in 1983, Planes, Trains and Automobiles in 1987, and Home Alone in 1990, you'd think John Hughes would have been walking around with awards out the wazoo, but he actually never received a single nomination for any of those projects. In fact, on his IMDb, he only has 2 real award wins, one of which given after his passing at the Online Film and Television Association. Hughes received a Producer of the Year award in 1991 at the Show West convention, but the worst part is that he has 2 nominations, both from the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards. One in 1993 for the worst resurrection of a TV show for Dennis the Menace, which I actually really liked as a kid, so that kind of feels unfair, but also in 1997 he was nominated for the worst screenplay for a film grossing more than $100 million using Hollywood math for Flubber, which I also didn't hate as a kid. Maybe I had bad taste. Am I wrong for being upset about this guy's lack of awards? You let me know. Number 6. Everyone involved in The Princess Bride. It's very strange when some of the most beloved movies never receive Academy Awards. In a year that included movies like Wall Street, The Untouchables, and The Last Emperor, 1987 had some real hits, which meant that unfortunately, The Princess Bride, probably one of the most memorable movies for so many people of all ages from that year, was pretty much snubbed from the 1988 Oscars. The Princess Bride only received 1 nomination, and that was for the Best Original Song. Instead, The Last Emperor pretty much steamrolled all other competition, and while that's totally understandable, it just feels wrong for Princess Bride to go almost completely unacknowledged. Does not make it any less fun to watch, and it still won all kinds of awards elsewhere. As most people know though, comedy movies do famously get it quite a little bit harder at the Oscars than dramas. Number 5. Michael K. Williams. While actor Michael K. Williams had been nominated in the past for his other TV works including Lovecraft Country, Bessie, Boardwalk Empire, The Night of and When They See Us, I think it's incredibly shocking for most fans of The Wire that the actor never received a nomination for his time as Omar Little. Omar was probably one of the greatest TV show characters of all time in a show that deserved way more than it ever got in terms of awards. Most people recognize the HBO show as one of the best shows out there, but funnily enough, it was only ever nominated for 2 Emmys, and not a single one of those nominations went to Michael K. Williams. In fact, his only nominations for Omar Little were at the NAACP Image Awards, for which he was nominated for Outstanding Actor in a Drama Series in 2007 and Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series in 2009. Like I said, the actor had received other nominations and wins for his other works before his passing in 2021, but the snub for his time as Omar Little was, in my opinion, just kind of insulting. Number 4. Public Enemy. Judging and giving an award for any form of art is a little difficult. It's all subjective, obviously. I think music, though, can be one of the more challenging media forms to judge an award for, with different songs giving off completely different vibes. But at the 34th Grammy Awards, Summertime by DJ Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith, aka The Fresh Prince, won over Apocalypse 91 The Enemy Strikes Back by Public Enemy, and I don't know about this one? Public Enemy put out a song that is pretty much required listening and an iconic staple of rap music. People ragged on the Fresh Prince's PG music, and while that did bring his songs down a little bit compared to others, it is true that his skill with the music was pretty much top notch. But when you compare the two songs that we're talking about here, especially in terms of their cultural impact and their place in the genre, it was just a little bit of an interesting choice to have Summertime come out on top. However, there doesn't seem to be much of a problem between the artists. In 2016, Public Enemy leader Chuck D said on Twitter, quote, "Will the Fresh Prince Smith just simply would outrhyme MCs longer till they would run out or get tired. This was his strong point out of Philly. Honestly, the music isn't made for the awards. Most art isn't. So I'm glad that the respect for the rival artist is still there." In at number 3 is Steve Carell. Steve Carell's portrayal of Michael Scott from the time he spent on The Office made him basically culturally immortal. The amount of quotable moments from that show, and they almost all come from Carell himself, ridiculous. Yet, Steve never received an Emmy win for any of it. Instead, during the 2008 and 2009 Emmy Awards, the Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series award went to Alec Baldwin twice for his time on 30 Rock. Steve has also been bested by Jim Parsons for The Big Bang Theory and Tony Shalhoub for Monk. What I find funny is that if you take a large group of people and you ask which of those shows I just mentioned have the biggest impact and are still being watched to this day, The Office would come in at number 1. And most of the reason for that goes to Steve Carell as Michael Scott. Personally, when his character leaves the show in the later seasons, I don't even find it as entertaining anymore. While he has been nominated for the win, his consistent losses just feels wrong. And at number 2 is Alfred Hitchcock. There are actually quite a few groundbreaking directors who have been repeatedly snubbed by the Oscars, including Francis Ford Coppola for The Godfather and Stanley Kubrick. But let's go back just a little bit further in time to one that is probably the most egregious. Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense and one of the granddaddies of cinema, has never won an Oscar. The director has received nominations at the very least for movies like Rebecca, Lifeboat, Spellbound, Rear Window, and of course Psycho, but he has never taken any of those wins home, which is just a ridiculously puzzling question. Now obviously, sometimes it's just because other films came out that stole the limelight more for that year, but almost none of those films have made impacts like any of Hitchcock's. While he did eventually get a Lifetime Achievement Award in 1968, it feels kind of strange and like the Academy was just saying, "Hey, buddy, sorry about that." Which, to me, makes it even more hilarious that for his acceptance speech, the man walked up and said, "Thank you very much indeed," and then he left the stage. What a boss. And in at number 1 is Ang Lee. At the 2006 Academy Awards, there was some truly awesome films that were in the running for Best Picture. Bennett Miller's Capote with the truly captivating performance from Philip Seymour Hoffman, Steven Spielberg's gut-wrenching Munich, George Clooney's Good Night and Good Luck, but I'm leaving out 2 here. The first one was the one that everyone thought was going to win, Ang Lee's groundbreaking and even more heart-wrenching gay love story Brokeback Mountain, with Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger giving some of the best performances I have ever seen. And then there was the film that actually won, Paul Haggis's Crash. Even Jack Nicholson, who was presenting the award, could be seen mouthing "whoa" when he saw that Crash was taking home the award. Crash was a drama that centered on racial unrest in LA, and while it's not a bad film, surrounded by the other films that year and standing against Brokeback Mountain, it was one of the biggest head scratches, and Paul Haggis himself, the director, even said in 2015, quote, "Was it the best film of the year? I don't think so."
Celebrities usually take great care to project a perfect image of themselves on social media and in real life, but sometimes that image can come undone, and when that happens, we get to see a much more realistic side to them. The truth is that while the majority of stars save their best smiles for the cameras, some of them turn into totally different people when they think no one's watching. And the best part is, most of the time they're just like us. Now, we've all had embarrassing things happen to us that we would like to keep hidden, but the people on this list were the ones who exposed themselves, and some confessions are a lot more awkward than others. Number 10, Jake Gyllenhaal's bad acting. During a 2016 appearance on the
Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, the actor revealed that he originally tried out for Lord of the Rings. Apparently, it all started when he got a conference call with around 14 agents, who were all excited about the prospect of having him play Frodo. Jake then explained that they called him up and said that Peter Jackson was going to start work on the trilogy, and they wanted him to audition to play the Hobbit. But the actual audition was a nightmare. It seemed like everything was going well until Jake was instructed to only follow lots of stage directions but say no lines. Apparently, he was asked to walk up to a box, open it, and take out the ring, and he became confused by what the director wanted, and he just took out the ring in a really casual way. Not at all like someone who just discovered the source of ultimate power in Middle-earth. To make matters so much worse, he says that his agents were so excited to get him the audition, they forgot to tell him that he needed to put on an English accent for the part. And obviously, Jackson did not love how relaxed he was about finding the ring. He said, literally, Peter Jackson was like facepalm. He said, "You are the worst actor I have ever seen. Did anyone tell you you're supposed to have an accent?" The role ultimately went to Elijah Wood, but it sounds like Jake might have aced the audition if only he'd been given a chance to properly prepare. In this case, it seems like it was more his agent's fault, if anything. Number 9, Taylor Swift's brown teeth. A decade after its premiere, the singer remembered auditioning for the 2012 movie adaptation of Les Miserables. She went on the Graham Norton show in October and told the humiliating story of how she auditioned. Taylor said, "Basically, I was up for 2 roles. I had the look of Cosette and the vocal range of Eponine, so it was established that I was there for a good time but not a long time. I wasn't going to get the role." She auditioned alongside actor Eddie Redmayne, which quickly turned into a nightmare experience. She said, "What they asked if I would like to go to London to do a screen test with Eddie, who is one of my favorite actors, and I thought, this isn't an experience I'm going to get again in my life. So I said yes." However, once she got to the set, the crew put her in a full 19th century street urchin costume before she even had the chance to meet him. She said, "So I get there and they're like, okay, so we really want to make you look like Eponine." So they were like, "We're actually gonna paint your teeth brown for this." And I'm like, "So you're gonna do that after I meet Eddie Redmayne, right?" She said, "That's not something you do before I get to meet people and then you do brown teeth, right?" And they're like, "Oh no, everybody's gonna meet you with the brown teeth." Taylor added that when she eventually met him, she didn't open her mouth to speak, which makes a lot of sense when you consider what color her teeth must have been the whole time. Number 8, Rob Lowe's disaster kiss. The 80s heartthrob was one of the most popular and good-looking movie stars of his time, which is an image he's certainly managed to keep in the following decades. While many fans may have wanted to kiss Rob Lowe, in his 2014 memoir Love Life, the actor revealed that the singer-songwriter Jewel was not among them. He mentioned their kissing scene in the short-lived TV series The Lion's Den, which was apparently so bad that Jewel later tried to get it cut. Lowe said that they had no chemistry and the kiss was apparently less 50 Shades of Grey and more Grey Gardens. He said, "I was beginning to take it personally. I checked my teeth, I checked my breath, it seemed okay to me, but I popped an Altoid to be safe. I sort of moved my head side to side to make it look real, like there was even a dollop of energy or passion. Afterward, Jewel looked at me and wiped the back of her hand across her lips, like an American Sign Language version of yuck." Lowe also brought up the incident during an appearance on the Ellen DeGeneres show in 2013 and said, "It's a parade of indignities, and the culminating blow for me was having the actress who didn't want to kiss me in the love scene, and that person would be Jewel." Now, that must have been a pretty awkward moment for both of them, but interestingly enough, they've actually maintained some sort of friendly relationship over the years, so it couldn't have been that bad. Number 7, how Jennifer Coolidge got fired. The actress has been open about her struggles when it comes to making it in Hollywood. She finally got her break with a guest role on Seinfeld at the age of 32, and she went on to become the beloved comedic actor that she is today. And she's even won an Emmy, but Jennifer definitely didn't get there without a few bumps along the way. When she went on the Rachel Ray show, she was asked if she's ever been fired, and she recalled one particularly traumatizing incident where she was dropped from the show on MTV. Although she couldn't remember the exact name, she said, "The producer fired me through the bathroom door. No, I'm not kidding. He came into the ladies' room and fired me through the stall door." And I was like, okay, well, I'll be out soon. But apparently that wasn't even the end of the awkwardness, because a different producer then came up to her that was unaware of what had just happened. They said, "Jennifer, you can just go out that door. We're going to escort you out." Quote, "So I'm walking along down the hallway and the other producer didn't know I'd just been fired. And he's coming over the other way and he goes, 'Jennifer, you need to get in your outfit. We're going on in like 2 minutes.' And I go, 'No, I don't think we can because I just got fired.' And he goes, 'Okay, well, take care.' there. Jennifer's story was not only humiliating, but it actually highlights how brutal the entertainment industry can really be. Number 6, Chris Evans's awkward audition. The Marvel star's worst audition experience came as a result of him feeling starstruck by Ben Affleck. He told Backstage in 2011, "I walked in and I'm walking down the halls looking for this room, and as I passed the room I heard, 'There he is.' In my head I was like, that's Ben. I turned around and it was. And for some reason I instantly get nervous. I went in and shook his hand, and the first thing I said was, 'Hey, how you doing? Am I gonna be okay where I parked?' And he said, 'Where'd you park?' And I said, 'At one of the meters.' And he said, 'Did you put money in it?' And I said, 'Yeah.' And he said, 'I think you'll be alright.' It was that awkward introduction that led Chris to struggle the entire time that he auditioned, all for the 2007 movie Gone Baby Gone, which was directed by Ben Affleck himself. He said, 'From that moment, I just wanted to get the F out of the room. I just wanted to be anywhere but there. I sat down with my heart beating out of my chest. I was so mortified that I started this meeting off that way. I started giving him one-word answers.' Chris went on to explain the actual audition and said, 'They put me in a rocking chair, so I was just rocking and twisting, just nervous. At this point, he was asked several questions to break the ice, but all he could say was good. In the end, he just said, 'I wanted to get out of there. It was horrible, a complete disaster.' So obviously I did not get that job. Number 5, Drake's necklace. The rapper recently revealed his new piece of bling that is inspired by all the fiancés he's never had. On December the 12th, jewelry designer Alex Moss shared an Instagram reel showing off the dazzling diamond necklace, which featured sparklers from dozens of engagement rings to represent the times that Drake almost proposed. Yes, if that sounds crazy, it's actually true. The caption read, "New piece titled Previous Engagements, for all the times he thought about it but never did it." Apparently, Drake's necklace has 42 stones and a whopping 351.38 carats in diamonds. The entire project took 14 months to complete top to bottom and was built by hand in New York City. And yes, you heard that right, the necklace was supposed to be a tribute to all the women that Drake contemplated asking to marry him but never did. Some fans feel that this is something he probably shouldn't be shouting from the rooftops, although what's interesting is its similarities to his music video Falling Back on his 7th studio album called Honestly Nevermind. The 9-minute video seemed to break the internet when it dropped because it showed Drake marrying 23 brides in an over-top wedding that also featured a rabbi and his mom Sandy Graham. Number 4, MGK wears Megan Fox's blood. The rapper made fans cringe back in February when he admitted that his fiancée gifted him a drop of her blood to wear around his neck. He went on the Ellen DeGeneres show and said, "Well, she was actually going out of town to film a movie. This was really new in our relationship. I didn't have a passport either. So she was going out to Bulgaria, so I was kind of freaking out, like, you're gonna leave me and I can't even come and see you. Some people give like a handkerchief to their partner or whatever. She gave me her DNA. So apparently, because they didn't want to stress about spending time apart, she gave him a bit of her blood to carry around with him. Not only that, but in an interview earlier this year with Glamour, Megan confirmed that the two of them engaged in something she calls blood play. She said, "So I guess to drink each other's blood might mislead people, or people are imagining us with goblets and we're like Game of Thrones, drinking each other's blood. It's just a few drops, but yes, we do consume each other's blood on occasion, for ritual purposes only." She claimed that she will gladly shed a few drops of blood for them to drink it, but apparently MGK is more chaotic and is willing to just cut his chest open with broken glass. I mean, sure, every couple has their kinks, but what is it with these two and blood? Number 3, Matt LeBlanc's drunk story. After years of working in the entertainment industry, it's virtually impossible for actors not to have a worst audition story, but obviously some of them are more embarrassing than others. If you want to hear one of the worst ones, just ask Matt LeBlanc. During the Friends reunion last year, he said, "I remember I had gone in a bunch of times and I think it was on the final callback. I had gone with a friend of mine to run lines." And he said, "So the show is about friends and being friends? Just a group of friends?" And I said, "Yeah, kinda." And he was like, "Well, we should go out drinking." Then after a night of many drinks and bad decisions, Matt said that he woke up in the middle of the night at his friend's apartment and had to go to the bathroom. He said, "I got up too fast and I can't believe I'm telling you this, but I kind of blacked out as you do. Fell face first into the toilet, hit my nose on the bottom of the toilet seat and a huge chunk of meat came off my nose. And I'm looking in the mirror, it's bleeding and I'm like, oh my god, I have to go in for the big callback. And there's a big ugly scab on my nose." But even though that sounds like every actor's worst nightmare, just as luck would have it, the creator of the show, Martha Corey, Kaufman found the story so true to Joey's character that it scored him the role. Number 2, Alison Brie wet her pants. The star of the hit AMC show Mad Men admitted to peeing her pants on set during a stressful incident involving a wardrobe malfunction. Alison went on Justin Long's podcast Life is Short and explained how it all went down. She said, "We wore girdles. It's basically like biker shorts that go all the way up to our ribs, and it's like time period appropriate. I didn't know for the first season of Mad Men that you weren't really supposed to wear underwear underneath them because they are underwear." She then recalled one troubling day on set where she had to rush to the bathroom. This became an issue because the show was known for its extremely accurate period costumes of the 1960s, and so the girdle only had a small hole in the crotch area for convenience because those outfits were very difficult to take all the way off. Unfortunately, Alison accidentally blocked that hole with her modern underwear. She said, "I tried to pull the hole open, but I didn't pull my underwear to the side, so I'm peeing and I'm not hearing it hit the bowl, and then I just feel warm." So what did she do? Well, she pretty much just dealt with it on her own, dabbed it with a bunch of toilet paper and got back to filming. She later explained that Mad Men was her first real job, so she didn't ever want to be considered the problem person, and that everyone on set was waiting for her, so she didn't want to lose her job. And coming in at number 1, Tom Hanks's on-set farting. While working on the 2006 film The Da Vinci Code, Paul Bettany, who played the albino monk Silas, claimed that he punched Tom Hanks in the stomach so hard that he ended up farting. He told Stephen Colbert on The Late Show that the fart came during the first scene that he ever shared with Hanks on screen, and said that he was understandably nervous. Bettany said, "I had to grab him and I had to punch him in the stomach, and it's very quiet on set. It's always more quiet when there's a stunt going on because you're worried somebody's gonna get hurt, so everybody's listening. And I punched him in the stomach and he farted really, really, really loudly, but really loudly. I didn't know what the form was. What do you do when the biggest movie star in the world farts? I kind of looked at him and he went, 'What is wrong with you? You just made me fart.'" Bettany said that he never reached those heights again in his career. He also spoke about the moment in an Esquire interview, saying, "I was like, holy crap, what am I gonna do? It's Tom Hanks. He's the biggest star in the world and I've just made him fart." What's really hilarious about the story is the way that Tom Hanks told it on the Graham Norton show, when he said, "Paul came rushing in and I met him, and what had to happen was he was supposed to knock me down against a desk and then I landed on the ground. When I hit the floor, I farted." The actor said that this was the reason why he doesn't do a lot of action scenes. Although the sound did not make it into the film, the incident makes for a good story even if it was slightly embarrassing.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have Notting Hill. During Amber Heard's testimony, she spoke about her and Johnny's first time meeting and basically how they fell in love. So during this, she spoke about a time where Johnny was sober, he wasn't drinking alcohol, and instead he was drinking tea. Lots of tea. If you have been following the trial, her emphasis on how much tea he was drinking might have struck you as a little odd. I mean, I was watching it live and I was a little confused as to why she spoke about it so many times and seemed to care about it so much. Many people on the internet, however, are starting to believe that it may be a reference to Notting Hill. It's similar to a line that Julia Roberts is seen saying to Hugh Grant, and people out there think that the way Amber said it in her testimony was also a mimicked version of how Julia Roberts said it. It may seem like a small thing, but in the grand scheme of all of the quotes that we're going to talk about on this list today, it certainly becomes a little more interesting. In our number 9 spot today, we have Mildred Pierce. During Amber's testimony, she begins talking about what she claims is the first time Johnny hit her. While speaking about this, she claims that after this, Johnny said that he would, quote, rather cut off his hand, end quote, than lay another hand upon her. Many people believe that this is a line that was stolen right from the 1945 film Mildred Pierce. In this film, there's a scene where Mildred sort of suddenly lashes out and she ends up slapping Veda across the face. As Veda stands there looking surprised at what just happened, Mildred apologizes for her actions, saying, quote, "I'm so sorry I did that. I've had rather cut off my hand." The lines definitely are similar, whether or not they were directly stolen from these pieces of work. Maybe they're stolen, maybe it's a coincidence, or maybe it just shows how rehearsed the testimony is. In our number 8 spot today, we have the talented Mr. Ripley. This quote is definitely one of the most popular ones floating around the internet today, and it is said to be in reference to Amber Heard's opening statements. People are claiming that Amber was directly quoting the talented Mr. Ripley, which featured a character who would shower people with gifts and then sort of disappear, sort of similar to what Amber testified about her relationship with Johnny. While it's floating around the internet that she directly quoted the movie word for word, I could not find a timestamp where she took the quote directly. Instead, however, I could find things that would sort of suggest a similar story to what was seen in the movie.
Johnny. The quote people are referencing says, quote, "The thing with blank," Amber says Johnny, "it's like the sun shines on you and it's glorious, and then he forgets you and it's very, very cold. When you have his attention, you feel like you're the only person in the world. That's why everybody loves him so much." Amber didn't say these words exactly as far as I could find, but she does say something similar. She talks about a sort of warm glow that was felt at the beginning of their relationship, and that he showered her with gifts and made her feel like the most beautiful woman in the world, and they would be in this bubble for 4 or 5 days at a time, but then he would suddenly just disappear. In our number 7 spot today, we have I Am a Killer. During Amber's testimony, she spoke about a time when she and Johnny were around another woman, and they were all under the influence of different substances at the time. Amber claimed that at one point this other woman leaned her head on Amber's shoulder, and she claims that this set Johnny off. She went on to allege that Johnny then at some point grabbed this woman's wrist and twisted it and pulled it towards him. It is then that Amber claims he said, quote, "Do you know how many pounds of pressure it takes to break a human wrist?" She went on to say, quote, "He held her and she looked frozen. She's crying." Many people online have pointed out that this line, which she claimed he said, is actually something that was said by someone who appeared in the Netflix show I Am a Killer. In the Netflix show, the woman was serving a life sentence for taking the life of her former partner who had broken her hands in this exact same way. The episode in question was called In Her Hands. In our number 6 spot today, we have Shrek 2. Okay, this one is certainly probably the silliest on this list, and definitely a little on the satire side, but the internet will always be undefeated in seeing something and running with it. This is a moment in the trial that someone on TikTok was quick to point out was kind of similar to a moment in Shrek 2 of all of the movies that exist. In the Shrek clip, Prince Charming is looking around going, "Whoa, what happened here?" In this TikTok clip, it quickly cuts to Amber, who says the exact same thing almost in the exact same way. I would definitely like to assume that she did not steal a line from Shrek 2 for her testimony, but at this point, really anything is possible. In our number 5 spot today, we have White Chicks. During Amber Heard's first day of testimony, she told quite a frightening story that she alleges is a real and true thing that Johnny did. She explained that there was a point where she had called Depp's sister, who is said to have showed up later to help remove Depp from the home, but as they were driving in the car, she told a terrible tale of what she says happens. She said, quote, "He has the window down. At some point he starts howling out the window and he grabbed Boo, his dog, a slightly chunkier teacup Yorkie. He grabs Boo and holds Boo out the window of the moving car. He's howling like an animal while holding the dog out of the window." She does go on to explain how everyone reacted in this situation, but people on the internet were quick to point out a hypocritical moment. Not only did people think that this story was taken straight out of the movie White Chicks, in which there is quite a similar scene as to what she just described, but there is also an Instagram photo that has since been circulating the internet of a similar scenario that Amber described, but in this scenario, it is very clearly Amber who is holding the dog out of the car window. This has all made people skeptical of this story she told and unsure of the truth behind it. In our number 4 spot today, we have True Detective. This is a moment that is similar to the I Am a Killer one we already talked about, and it's in reference to the part of Amber's testimony where she was speaking to an aggressive moment that happened on a flight between Amber, Johnny, and the flight attendant who was on the same flight at the time. Amber claimed that Johnny grabbed this flight attendant's wrist, slammed it down, and said something similar to how a few pounds of pressure could break it. One Twitter user was quick to point out the similarities between this testimony and a scene from True Detective Season 1. People seem to believe that this was taken from the show, considering the similarity of this story to the other one we already talked about, as well as the similarity to the show. It is compelling that people are pointing out that perhaps either of these women might have spoken out or testified if these stories were true, but of course that doesn't mean the story isn't true, it's just an interesting question we have to ask. In our number 3 spot today, we have the article. This is something that wasn't stolen from a movie or a piece of literature, but it is something that people have been pointing out because it seems as though it is untruthful, or at the very least in direct contrast to something she had mentioned prior to their divorce. Amber claimed during her testimony that prior to her relationship with Johnny, she wasn't a fan of his. She said she wasn't a fan of his art, but when when fans found an article from years ago, they began to question just how true that really was. In the article, it is said that Amber, as a teenager, had photos of Johnny all over her room. A friend of hers told the Inquirer that Johnny was basically Amber's first love, that when she was a teenager, she had already decided to become an actor, and that she had photos of him all over her room. They finished by saying, quote, "So it's no surprise they fell in love while working together. Amber can usually get whatever she sets her mind to." In our number 2 spot today, we have Alpha Dog. This one is more of a theory in relation to the trial rather than a direct ripoff, but it certainly is interesting. So we have all heard the story of the poo on the bed at this point. If you haven't, basically it's just a story that suggests that Amber had left feces in the bed that she and Depp had shared together after a night of arguing. It is said that she tried to blame the mess on the pair's dogs, but many people have suggested that this was just a lie to cover the bizarre action. This theory in question is that this entire move was one that was stolen from the movie Alpha Dog. In the movie, which she actually was in, although it was a short appearance, one of the characters, who is under the influence of certain substances, decides to defecate on his enemy's rug as revenge. It certainly is a cinematic move, that's for sure. Whether this is true or not has yet to be proven, but it certainly is a compelling theory. In our number 1 spot today, we have Made. People on Twitter pointed out a similarity in Amber's testimony to a Netflix series called Made. People specifically pointed out the part where she was talking about how Johnny allegedly threw a glass in her direction, then punched a wall, then punched the wall right next to her. According to people who have seen the Netflix show, which is about a woman who is fleeing a very harmful relationship in order to provide a better life for her children, it is said that this scene is actually in the show. It is entirely possible that real life just happened to align with the show, but with everything else on this list, people certainly are more suspicious than they normally would be. Many people said that even during her explanation of this story, they vividly thought of this Netflix show.
Coming at number 10, the tissue. In a seemingly innocuous moment during the defamation trial of Johnny Depp, Amber appeared to wipe her nose with a tissue. However, fans around the world swear that she is not blowing her nose into the tissue, but rather sniffing something tucked inside instead. As such, wild assumptions and theories began running amok on social media, and the video quickly went viral. In a tweet, one user shared the video clip and captioned it with, "Yo, I've done some ish in my day, but I've never had the stones to do in a courtroom." However, as many people have pointed out already, it's not probable that she was doing this. Security would be patting down every single person going to that courtroom, and on top of that, there are very harsh penalties for consuming or carrying illegal substances in a courthouse. I really doubt Amber's team would be okay trying to help her conceal that. What's a more plausible answer though is that she was sniffing a kind of Vicks vapor rub to help her eyes tear up more during her testimony. This would then in turn make it look like she was crying and therefore help convince the jury that she means what she says. In at number 9, the flinch. After Amber Heard finished with her testimony the other day, there was a bizarre moment when everyone was leaving the courtroom. Amber appeared to actually flinch or recoil as she came somewhat close to Johnny Depp while leaving, even though there were a ton of people standing in between them. In fact, he wasn't very close at all, but because he walked somewhat in her direction, she flinched like a soccer player trying to draw a penalty. It was A1 acting, if you ask me. Perfectly timed given the weight of her harrowing testimony. The actress told the Virginia courthouse that her ex-husband had S8'd her with a liquor bottle and then threatened to end her life in March of 2015 while they were in Australia. As they were leaving, Depp, who as you know is partially blind in one eye, stood up and simply moved in the same direction as the Aquaman star, which is when Heard seemed to physically shudder and look terrified, even taking a step back as courtroom officials immediately turned towards Depp and put their hands up as if to warn him to stay back. Johnny Depp then turned away and appeared to shrug and smile as if he had no idea why they were all in a huff. In at number 8, objection. Some of the most popular words during the Amber Heard vs. Johnny Depp trial have been objection or hearsay, and in a bizarre moment all caught on camera, Amber Heard's lawyer completely misses the mark. As he was cross-examining Ben King, Heard's attorney Benjamin Rottenborn got a little too flustered. At first his question was objected to, and then the judge sustained the objection. He then tried to ask the question again, but when Mr. King started to answer, he randomly says, objection, hearsay, to his own question. And although it's not Amber Heard doing something weird, it still has to be mentioned on this list. The fact that it was her own attorneys doing this really highlighted how unprepared they were for this trial, at least mentally. In at number 7, do you know the Muffin Man? In another strange case of cross-examination gone wrong, one of Amber Heard's lawyers, Elaine Bredhoff, kept questioning psychologist Dr. Shannon Curry in the most bizarre way. She was absolutely fixated on the muffins that Dr. Curry says that she brought for Miss Heard. There was a lot of grasping for straws during this questioning. She attempted to involve Dr. Curry's husband in all this to prove that she had leaked sensitive information to him. She tried to suggest that Dr. Curry had drinks and dinner with Mr. Depp to prove that there was some sort of bias there, and then she kept focusing on these muffins that she gave to Miss Heard. Dr. Curry explained that she frequently brings muffins into her office. On the day that Amber Heard came in, her husband was aware that she was meeting with a celebrity, and so she asked him to pick up the muffins for her. He brought them back to their home, and then Dr. Curry brought them into the office like she always does. She then clarified that she said to Miss Heard that her husband had purchased the muffins for today, but didn't do so as some sort of special present for Amber, like her attorney was attempting to suggest. Needless to say, her constant questions about the muffins led to countless memes involving the gingerbread man from Shrek. Coming number 6, similar styles. Clinical psychologist Dr. Shannon Curry also gave a possible explanation as to why Amber Heard chose to dress just like her ex-husband during their trial, and it's most likely due to her suffering from borderline personality disorder, or BPD for short. Dr. Curry was also called to the stand and explained that people with BPD will often have identity issues which typically result in people dressing like the people they want to be around. Dr. Curry explained to the jury, they take on the personality of the people they want to be around, the way they dress, interests, the way they talk. On the first day of the trial, for example, Depp was seen wearing a Gucci tie with a bumblebee on it, and then just 2 days later, Amber was spotted wearing a very similar tie which also had a bee on it. Social media users also pointed out that Depp donned a gray suit for the first day of the trial, and then Amber could be also seen wearing a pants and shirt combo of the same color to the courthouse on April 12th. Not convinced? Well, on April 18th, Depp showed up to court with his long hair pulled back into a ponytail, and then the following day, Amber had her hair done in a very similar way. In another example, Depp wore glasses during many days of the trial, and Amber Heard was also seen using a similar pair. Coming number 5, stolen movie lines. Okay, Twitter is convinced that Amber Heard had quoted multiple movies during her testimony. In a Twitter thread posted on May 5th, 2022, the Twitter user claimed that Heard had stolen from film, television, and books for her defense. A Twitter user posted these screenshots of the comparison and said, if you were watching Amber Heard and felt like some of those lines felt strangely familiar, they are. She's stealing from film and TV and books. Here's a thread of what I have seen so far. And so far, the tweet has been retweeted more than 4,000 times and liked by over 14,000 people. Among the evidence she presented, the Twitter user claimed that the quote from the actress of Drinks Lots of Tea was stolen by Julia Roberts' character in Notting Hill. Another part of her testimony, she said he'd rather cut off his hand, which she claimed was directly lifted from the drama series Mildred Pierce. Perhaps the one that took off the most though in all of this was the screenshot within the thread where the user claimed that Amber's opening monologue in her testimony is the plot of The Talented Mr. Ripley. In that post, the user claims, her entire beginning monologue is literally the plot of The Talented Mr. Ripley, actual quotes from the movie, and featured a character who showered gifts then mysteriously disappeared. The thing with Johnny, it's like the sun shines on you and it's glorious, and then he forgets you and it's very, very cold. When you have his attention, you feel like you're the only person in the world. That's why everybody loves him so much. Coming number 4, the bottle. In this brief footage that was captured and plastered all over TikTok, Amber Heard can be seen tightening a bottle and then placing it awkwardly into her pocket right as a courtroom official almost catches her. This video sparked mass speculation that she was trying to sneak booze into the courtroom. One user who tweeted the video captioned it with, is Amber Heard drinking alcohol in the courtroom and hiding it from the sheriff? Who takes a cap off and puts it back in their pocket so fast? The speculation about her drinking in court came after authorities reportedly banned the use of bottled drinks inside of the courtroom. Law and Crime host Jesse Weber made the announcement and said, we were just informed we will no longer be allowed to bring bottled drinks in court. The last time we were given this instruction was when Johnny Depp first took the stand. Coming number 3, crocodile tears. Depp's fans have been flooding social media accusing her of being a bad actress and fake crying, following her testimony at their blockbuster defamation trial. She spent 2 days detailing Depp's alleged attacks, saying her former spouse slapped her across the face and conducted a cavity search to find illegal substances that he believed she was hiding from him. However, Depp's supporters have slammed the actress on Twitter and TikTok, claiming that she was faking her testimony because she failed to produce a single tear. Andy Signor even tweeted, oh my god, I'm dying. Amber Heard is the worst actor ever. This fake incoherent performance is sickening. All over the place. Too many details, fake sighs, forced tears, and looks to the jury. This is an embarrassment to survivors everywhere. With poet Joseph Massey adding, I watched a little of the Amber Heard testimony today. How does someone cry without tears? Is it a medical condition? Whenever I cry or see someone else crying, it's a real mess that requires multiple tissues if not a small mop. Coming number 2, caught smirking. Amber Heard has failed to present any actual evidence that proves Johnny was attacking her, but the actor has presented plenty of evidence that she was horrible to him. In a set of tapes recorded by Johnny, Depp is asking Amber Heard about a time in which she hurt him with a door and proceeded to punch him straight in the face. She apologized for hitting him with a door, but she is on record saying that she meant to actually clock him in the face. There's a video of her deposition in which she is listening to the tape. In the recorded exchange, you can see a confused Johnny while trying to ask Amber what she was apologizing for. Initially, she says she is sorry for punching him, but then she clarifies that she's only sorry about the door. She then goes on to say that she meant to punch him in the face after Johnny described the entire scenario of how things happened. Throughout the whole time that she was listening, there was a clear grin on her face as if she was almost enjoying enjoying it when she recalled that moment. And last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Amber's admission of guilt. In April of last year, Johnny Depp had filed a defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard for $50 million after she wrote an opinion piece for the Washington Post about the duress that she was suffering from just being with him. As a result, Depp was fired from his role as Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, and his reputation in Hollywood was severely tarnished. However, Depp's lawyers received a bombshell of an audio confession where Heard admits to hitting Johnny. In the audio, she says, "I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched." Later adding, "I don't know what the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you, I did not punch you, I was hitting you." After Amber Heard finished with her testimony the other day, there was a bizarre moment when everyone was leaving the courtroom. Amber appeared to actually flinch or recoil as she came somewhat close to Johnny Depp when leaving, even though there were a ton of people standing in between them. Perfectly timed given the weight of her harrowing testimony. The actress told the Virginia courthouse that her ex-husband had S.A.'d her with a liquor bottle, and then he threatened to end her life in March of 2015 while they were in Australia. As they were leaving, Depp, who as you know is partially blind in one eye, stood up and simply moved in the same direction as the Aquaman star, which is when Heard seemed to physically shudder and look terrified, even taking a step back as courtroom officials immediately turned towards Depp and put their hands up, as if to warn him to stay back or something. Johnny Depp then turned away and appeared to shrug and smile as if he had no idea why they were all in a huff. Amber was then led to the side of the room by the courtroom officials before Depp exited through the rear door for a cigarette during the 15-minute recess. For the most part, the former couple have avoided eye contact during this trial. During Amber's testimony, Depp was mostly looking down at a piece of paper or looking off to his legal team. Before this seemingly tense encounter, the actress had broken down in tears as she testified that Depp had attacked her in what Depp's legal team are calling the performance of her life. This same incident with the bottle that Amber spoke about was also the same time that Johnny's finger was severed, because according to Depp, Amber had thrown a liquor bottle at him, which ended up severing his finger. But Amber testified that she did not witness Depp's finger being cut off. While testifying and sobbing uncontrollably, she said, "At some point he's on top of me, screaming, 'I effing hate you, you ruined my effing life.' I'm on the countertop, he had me by the neck and was on top of me. I'm looking in his eyes and I don't see him anymore. It wasn't him, it was black. I haven't been so scared in my life. He was looking at me, I was trying to get through to him, to say in some way it was me, trying to get through to Johnny." She then added, "My head was bashing against the back of the bar and I couldn't breathe. I remember trying to get up to tell him he was really hurting me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get through to him. I couldn't get up." Amber then became overwhelmed with emotion and went on to say, "Next thing I remember, I was bent over backwards on the bar. I was staring at the blue light. My back was on the countertop. I thought he was punching me. I felt this pressure on my pubic bone and I could feel his arm moving. It looked like he was punching me. I could just feel this pressure." Adding, "I don't remember what I said. I just remember being really still, not wanting to move. I remember looking around the room, looking at all the broken bottles, broken glass, and I remember not wanting to move because I didn't know if it was broken. I didn't know if the bottle that he had inside me was broken." And according to Johnny Depp's team, they claim that the actress's tales of attacks by Depp have evolved with new and convenient details, and they plan on exposing her lies during their cross-examination.